Hello, guys and gals, me Mutahar, and ladies and gentlemen, do you know if your coffee company is spying on you? Well, today is what happened. That's exactly something that is what you're about to hear today. It's wild indeed. Now, ever since I made that DuckDuckGo video a few days ago, I talked about privacy, and there's a lot of people who were like, I don't care if I'm getting spied on. Dude, no one's that important. Muta, you're not important enough. And that's true. I'm not important enough. I don't care if the government spies on me or a corporate government that's trying to advertise to me. I get it. I'm somebody that you want me to buy something? Dude, I'll buy it. I don't care. Okay. All right. Consumerism. You can hypnotize me all you want. But something about privacy that a lot of people should really understand is when it comes to companies tracking your every movement and location services, the thing you have to worry about the most is what happens if that information is stored somewhere on a server. What happens if that information gets compromised, right? It's not that you have to worry about the government or you have to worry about corporate, entities. You have to worry about somebody who wants to actually do harm to you in your personal life, somebody you may personally know, and now they have the entire access to what your daily habits are. That's scary stuff. Look, I love Metal Gear Solid 2, one of my favorite games ever made. And in Metal Gear Solid 2, the best part about it is when they basically tell you the world is being controlled by artificial intelligences. The Patriots AI is controlling every facet of human society. And it's not too far off today of today, right? Like, AIs basically regulate the information that we see, and AIs effectively push the information we probably want to see, okay? The world is run by algorithms, and maybe, we are the algorithm enjoyers. We are the consumers, if you will. Now, this situation comes out from a Canadian coffee company. Now, in Canada, we have something known as Tim Hortons, right? It's pretty shitty coffee, in my opinion. I don't even think it's a Canadian company. I think it's a Brazilian organization at this point. But point is, Tim Hortons is a Canadian chain, and we call it Timmy's. For us, this is probably one of the most well-known Canadian brands out there in the world right now, okay? This is inherently Canadian. It's so Canadian that we Canadians use something called Roll Up the Rim every goddamn year. It's a little game we play where we get fisted pretty hard for prizes. We buy coffee, they give us a loot box, if you will, and sometimes, God willing, if the stars align, we might be lucky enough to win a Toyota Corolla. It never really happens as far as my knowledge goes. You might be lucky enough to win a goddamn donut, okay? So once you get a goddamn Boston cream and enjoy yourself. Canadian donut action. But you know what? All jokes aside, Tim Hortons is one of our biggest chains. And like many restaurants, every restaurant has an app. Open up your app store, go to it, and look up McDonald's, Starbucks, Popeyes, KFC, Tim Hortons. Everyone's got an app. When you download the app, they let you use your location services to find the local restaurants to make orders from and whatnot. Now, what happens with that location service history? Do they just check if a restaurant's near you? Or is there more sinister shit going on? Every restaurant tracks you. Fuck, every service tracks you. That's why your location services are the most golden things on your devices. Never give anything location permissions unless you absolutely have to. Now, I'll give you a great example, okay? For instance, back when, I first got into a vehicle ownership, there was car insurance companies. And one of the car insurance people said, download our app. Let us monitor you for a month, and you might be able to save 15% on your car insurance. Now, I downloaded it. I was a naive fuck. I decided, sure, I'll give you my, tracking history for a whole month, see how I drive, where I go. And it turns out I only saved 1%. So the ability to save one whole goddamn dollar at the time, $2 maybe at most. Yeah, I'm not giving you my entire location history for that. You can stick it up where the sun doesn't shine. Now, of course, tons of applications and services do this. And for the most part, it's really trying to just get you ready for targeted advertisement, right? There's not like a secret Illuminati that's trying to track every personal, individual out there. Oftentimes, it's just to sell you shit. It's just to make sure you have a location near you or maybe you're not even going to competitors. But we'll get to that in a second. The benefits you get from these apps are not worth them checking on your location services, not every hour. Try every 2 to 5 minutes. That's how granular this is. Now, in this case, Tim Hortons, the Canadian government had to get involved and actually had to look into it from their privacy commission. Now, if your country has data privacy laws that favor you, for instance, I believe it's GDPR in the European Union, and it's PIPEDA in Canada, something like this doesn't really exist in the United States, so if you're an American, you should probably complain to your government about making some of these laws. Very important. But for Canadians, we use something known as PIPEDA. Basically, by filing a PIPEDA request, which basically all we have to do is send a letter to any company out there that is actually tracking us, and I'll show you what the letter looks like. Basically, you send a letter or an email to any private company that has your personal information and basically say, "Dear Privacy Officer, under Section 4.9 of Schedule 1 of Canada's federal privacy legislation," effectively you tell them what information you seek here, and basically tell them the PIPEDA requires organizations to respond within 30 days at minimal cost. I think the organization can extend it by 30 days only if they prove it can actually harm their company to just give you information right there and then. But basically they have to give you your information once you make this request. So effectively what happened were people started making these requests to the parent company of Tim Hortons, which I believe is Restaurant Brands International. Yeah, right here, Restaurant Brands International. And you can actually see that they own Burger King, Popeyes, and Firehouse Sub. I love Popeyes, but I will never download the app right there and then. Let me tell you, it is, once you see what they were looking, it's scary as fuck. Now, when they got the PIPEDA request, the company actually sent back JSON files, which are JavaScript object notation. Effectively, they're files that are made for humans to read and write very easily, and machines to parse very, very easily as well, too. In fact, this is what one actually just looks like, okay? It's very easily readable by a person. But effectively, these JSON files consisted of some weird strings. For instance, one of them was event name, user entered place. Now, this is a weird event because some of the names that they were giving to these places were areas like Starbucks. They were literally tracking you if you were walking by the competition. You didn't even have to walk into the Starbucks. They just needed to know that you walked near it for them to just go, that's a little weird. What is this person doing near? Are they cheating on us? Now, of course, there's also Radar Insight State Home, true. That's creepy. Now, Radar Insights is a company that we're going to be touching upon real soon. It's actually who they contracted with. But State Home? True? Yeah, they had the longitude and latitude to the area. Longitude and latitude, granular location data to try and assess whether you were home or not. In fact, it gets even creepier. User exited office. They were tracking if you were home or at the office. Ladies and gentlemen, there's only one device in my life that has those two pieces of data fed to it. My car that I used to drive between those locations. Makes sense, right? Why would your coffee company need to know this? That doesn't make any sense. That's beyond making any sense. Of course, they even had things like event name, users started traveling. They could actually sit there and try to figure out, whoa, this person left Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, this location data was so granular that they could literally monitor every aspect. This is what a government does to a criminal on house arrest. This is what an assassin does when they want to put a fucking round in the back of your skull. This is weird shit. Why is it that a coffee company needed to know this? The most quintessential Canadian brand had to spy on fellow Canadians. If you think I'm Madge, I'm Madge. And you know what? This is happening everywhere. It happens in America, it happens in Canada, it happens in the United Kingdom. The only difference was we used the law to help prove that this was the case. Now, of course, this was so bad that the government of Canada, the Cybercom, the privacy commissioner, the office had to jump into it to look further into the situation. So basically, even the office here was like, consistent with this explanation, our office has confirmed that the SDK tracked as events, home, office, geofence location. Basically, if you were near a Starbucks or like another restaurant, travel in and out of Canada. So effectively, they were looking at user entered place, place name, Rogers Center. They could tell you that you were going into like the Rogers Center, where the Blue Jay games happen. And of course, with their own investigative team, they found out a few more strings. So user entered home, user exited home, user entered office, user exited office, user started traveling, user stopped traveling. Do you know what this is similar to? Prisoners in supermax cells. Yes, the company is tracking you like the U.S. Bureau of Prisons tracks supermax prisoners in their facility. That's a coffee company doing this, not a PMC. It's a coffee company, guys. Weird as fuck. Tim Hortons indicated that it received, on average, approximately 10 events per users per day from Radar, which is the company. Now, Radar is effectively the leading geofencing platform they were outsourcing to, and if you look at their nice little demonstration, they basically try to understand and figure out where users go to if they touch geofences or whatnot. Now, to understand, companies use this to figure out what the patterns of any of their users are. They want to figure out how to aggressively target promotions and advertising to you. But like I said in the beginning of this video, imagine if somebody who actually wanted to harm you in your personal life access this information. If it was ever leaked, for instance, in a readable format, that's dangerous to you. And this is why privacy laws exist, to make sure that event never happens. Look, if you've got nothing to hide, that's fine. If you don't care about your privacy, understand that it's not the companies or the corporations you have to worry about, or the government. It's somebody getting access to that kind of data. Because in general terms, no real company is going to want to do harm to you. They want you as a customer, and they want to know how to keep you as a customer. But somebody that wants to cause you harm now knows exactly the route you take to get from home and work and what time you do it every single day. Of course, when you first download their coffee app from Tim Hortons, they're going to ask you prompts, right? Location service prompts. Every app does this. On Android, they say, allow Tim Hortons to access your location while you are using the app. We use your location to help you find nearby restaurants and provide you with more relevant marketing and offers. That last part's intentionally kept vague. Of course, with the iOS, we use your location to help you find nearby restaurants and provide you with more relevant marketing and offers. Tim Hortons did not alter these permission requests until after the investigation commenced. So it got even weirder to the point when the Canadian government started to actually investigate. What really got weird is when Tim Hortons decided to flip the power switch on this creepy shit. Tim Hortons initially disabled the SDK and its corresponding tracking functionality in June 2020, within days of our office publicly announcing this investigation. As severing the app's connection with Radar caused it to stop functioning properly, in July 2020, Tim Hortons temporarily reinitiated the app's collection of Radar location data, but only when the app was open. They literally started shitting their pants when the government got involved and started investigating them. So when the government finally did it, they had two issues they wanted to cover, and why this company, this Tim Hortons, broke privacy guidelines. So issue one, in our view, Tim Hortons did not collect or use personal information for appropriate purposes and circumstances, as required under the Acts. We came to this finding on the basis that, one, Tim Hortons did not have a legitimate need to collect vast amounts of sensitive location information, where it never used that information for its stated purpose. And two, the consequences of the app's collection of personal information represents a loss of privacy that is not proportional to the potential benefits Tim Hortons may have gained from improving targeted advertising to better promote its coffee or associated products. And also, not the actual benefit that you would get from saving whatever amount of money through the reward system or the basic convenience by giving up all of that crazy high amounts of personal information. Because remember, if somebody malicious got access to it, that's you ultimately on the line, not the company. And this is why these laws exist, to prevent that from happening to you. Now, issue two, did Tim Hortons obtain valid consent? And this is a very important thing to say too. As a preliminary matter, we note that individuals cannot be made to consent to the collection, use, or disclosure of personal information when the purpose is not appropriate, reasonable, or legitimate, meaning within the meaning of the acts. In other words, obtaining consent does not render an otherwise inappropriate purpose appropriate. Nonetheless, Tim Hortons' attempt to obtain consent warrant further discussions in this report, and in the government's view, Tim Hortons did not obtain valid consent, as would have been required for its collection for the use of the Radar location data throughout the app that they had found Tim Hortons to have at appropriate purpose. We came to this conclusion based on Tim Hortons' failure to inform users that it would collect their location information even when the app was closed. Remember, you didn't have to even have their app open for them to constantly ping you every 2 to 5 minutes. Number two, relatedly making misleading statements to user that it would only collect information when the app was open. Anyone that says it, it's bullshit. Number three, failure to ensure users understood the consequence of consenting to the continual collection of the location data in the background. To understand, if the actual app had said, hey guys, we're going to be checking your location basically the whole day. We're going to figure out what your patterns are. If you go to our competition, we'll know. Most people, I would wager 99.9%, okay? would probably not give up their data then, right? Imagine if a company said that to you. They don't. They lie to you. They want you to give this data up. Now, even the company behind this, one of the chief corporate officers at Restaurant Brands International, Duncan Fulton, straight up actually said, hey, listen, the company only collects location data if users opt in and allow the app to access the GPS on the phone. Like, come on, guys, okay? The app uses your location only when you have it. Oh, come on now. Now, of course, we absolutely agree. The FAQ on location data could have been more clear. Yeah, what a bullshit corporate response. Now the app basically says it's up to you to decide if you want to share your location data. Depending on your device, you'll have different options on how to share this data. Make sure to check and understand your device settings to be sure they reflect your preference. Now, of course, they even said, we're not on the cutting edge of this, we're the blunt edge of a butter knife compared to the cutting edge collection and use of data. Now, of course, he's claiming that everyone does this, and that's true. Everyone does do it. I'm not singling out one coffee company. They were just fucking stupid enough to get caught this hard. Now, of course, this was all possible because laws exist to effectively allow us to get this personal data and see what a company is doing. Most countries don't have these kind of laws. Of course, you need to make sure if your country doesn't have these laws, maybe try getting local government, federal government someday to push this through. Because as technology ages and the tracking gets more intense, the laws need to be reflective of that. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how a coffee company got caught spying on its users. And you know what? This story is not a Canadian exclusive. It's an international exclusive. This is something that happens all over the world. And if you ever have a mobile device, don't give your location services unless you absolutely need to, okay? It's not worth giving a company any access to your location. Because when you give them an inch, boy, they take the whole fucking expressway. Ladies and gentlemen, this is me, Mudahar, and if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. I am out.